I don't think the capture software likes me capturing it maximize on play, so I shouldn't do that. Okay, so we've got the camera looking around. So I have to see why it's jumping. Why is it jumping to a rotation there? It's jumping to 55 on the Y. Why oh why? It's jumping to 55 on the Y. Something to do with me moving the mouse really fast after clicking the play button? That's all I can imagine it being. I don't move the mouse at all. It is up and to the right of the screen, the mouse. So. Okay. Well, I should continue. Okay, so we're going to make a raycast so that we can start selecting these buttons and then choose actions based on the name of the button. So I'm going to start raycasting to layers. Am I, or am I just going to introduce tags? No, I'm just going to introduce tags. Okay, so we want to give these guys a tag, a very special tag. Let's just use one that's here, player. All these buttons are now tagged player. Train is untagged, everything else is untagged. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a raycast from this. Okay, so we've got a late update happening. Let's just come down here. Put in a normal update to do some raycasting. So, hit, there'll be a raycast hit. If physics raycast, the camera transforms position. The camera transforms forward as the direction. And we're collecting hit information, and for a distance of, we're not too far away. Hard code this. If I, okay, what's the scale there though? 1 unit. Folder is 1495. Okay, so raycast for 10 or even 100. Let's just raycast for 100. Okay, 100. Okay. Yes. Now here's where we're going to start checking if the Collider's game object tag is equal to something rather than the name. Object.tag is equal to layer. This is debug log. Hit game object.name. So we don't only ever see 3 names appearing in the debug for now. So let's just see if I've got everything kind of working correctly. Nope, I've missed a bracket. There's a closing camera, yeah, there. Okay, so there's opening and closing if, opening and closing raycast. Options, play, quit. So I'm raycasting and hitting only those 3 buttons. I'm not getting terrain in between or anything like that. Okay, so the raycast is working. Could do a sphere cast. Do we want to make it too wide if the buttons aren't far apart enough? Well, you can make up your mind for yourself. So we've got the name. And we're going to check if in the same update that the mouse down was pressed. Okay. Yeah, I did want to do something with the renderers. I forgot about that. So now we should only get a debug if we click off the screen. Click options. Quit. Okay. So now let's play around with the colors of those renderers. Private variable last hit object. You type game object. Okay, so if the tag is tagged player, we've hit one of the buttons. Okay, before I start on that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of the buttons so that you can see it when it's being raycast. So let's create a couple of variables. Selected color. This will be a type color, which we'll set in the inspector. And deselected color. Okay, so first of all, we need to store a reference to this last hit game object. Okay, if we don't have a last hit object, or last hit object dot name, that'll return a null if that doesn't exist. So let's just check that on its own first. If we do, right, yeah. Okay, if we do, if we don't, else. So we're going to have 2 conditions here. Alright, we're getting to change in the renderers. If we have last hit object, then we need to check if last hit object dot name is not equal to hit provider game object dot name, then the last hit object is going to become, that should be a dot, last hit object is going to become whatever the collider hit. Now we're going to do stuff with the renderer before that, but I just want to get the structure of the logic right. And let's not make it private so I can see it working in the inspector. else, if we don't have a last hit object, also this was going to happen. That's why I was trying to do it at once. So we give ourselves a last hit object. Okay, so that's the logic in. We should be able to watch that in the inspector. Okay, last hit object. So play. There is no last hit object. Now we have options. We look away. That was the last hit object. Play button. That's the last hit object. Options. Quit. Play. Okay, so the last hit object part is working. Because now we're going to start changing the renderer. So before we change it, I'm going to say one that we currently have stored, render.color, material.color, yes, is going to equal deselected color. Okay, so it's because we're replacing it. And then we've stored a new one. So that was when it was the last one. Now this is when it is the new one, see? Okay. Store new hit object. Just to make it more or less confusing. Okay. Return old object. Color. Deselected. And here we are setting new object to selected. Right, that should try and keep it sorted out, the logic. Okay, so we should start changing colors on selected and deselected objects. Let's see if that's happening. Okay, so let's make deselected white because they're all white so far. Okay, and let's hit play and see what happens here. Options. Oh, we just made a few disappear. What's going on here? Where did they go? Main color black. And why is it not showing up? What have I done? This is very interesting. Okay, what have I done to this thing? It begins. As soon as I change the color, I've lost the texture. That's really bizarre. Let's hit play and change the color and see what's going on. No? Why have I lost the whole texture? No, that's alpha? Ah, alright. Oh well. Let's see what's happened there. So, in the inspector for that script, alphas are at 0. Well, that doesn't help, doesn't it? Wow. Okay. 255. Gosh. Save the scene. Now they should go between black and white. Okay. The selected one goes black. Stays black. Okay. So, of the tag. Okay, so this is where it checks the raycast hit a tag. If it didn't hit a tag, this is when we're also going to deselect last hit object deselect color. That's it. Else. Okay, it doesn't want to, doesn't else. Okay, and then we could also say velocity object equals null. Velocity object equals, and also change the renderer here. That's why it wasn't happening the first time. Alright. So this is starting to look like it'll work. Unassigned. Unassigned. I have to do the check if it hits nothing as well. Oh gosh. Alright. Yes, you're right. I've got to check if there is a last hit object. If hit collider. Else, yes, if, yeah, only do, yeah. Alright. That should get rid of the null. Because we were trying to set a material on something that was a null. So I've got to check if there is something there first. Alright. Clear. Clear. Alright, no error on the startup. Go black, go white, go black, go white, go black, go white. Okay, selected, deselected, selected, deselected. Okay, so that's starting to really happen. Okay, if I click it, it tells me what button is selected. If I'm on the screen, it tells me what button I'm selecting. Yeah, okay. So, I'll just stop it here and start the next video for starting to load different scenes.